Good morning, students. Hope all of you are fine. Beta, this lecture is also in the continuation of chapter 7. And name of the chapter is an Imperial capital Vijaynagara. So, beta, till now, various topics we have discussed. Like those topics were the discovery of Hampi, rise Nayaks and Sultans, kings and traders, the apogee and decline of the empire, and the rise and the Naikas. So all these topics we have discussed till now. So today the topic that we are going to discuss is the Vijaynagara, the capital and its environs. So beta, in this particular topic we will read about the various water resources of Vijayanagara Empire, how the fortifications were built, beta in this fortification which type of architecture was used, and how the roads were constructed. With that we will also discuss about the urban area of Vijayanagara Empire, right? So now we will start this topic. Like most capitals, Vijayanagara was also characterized by its distinctive physical layout and building style. As we know, beta, whatsoever kingdoms were there, they have their own type of architecture style and building style. So now we will move towards water resources. Beta, water resources of Vijayanagara, those were very much focused and concentrated. How the most striking feature about the location of the Vijayanagara is the natural basin formed by the river Tungbhadra, which flows in a northeasterly direction, and the surrounding landscape is characterized by the granite hills which form a girdle around the city, which create a boundary around the city, and number of streams flow down to the river from these rocky outcrops. As you know that it is a peninsular plateau area, so many here whenever a river flow it just divide in different channels. So even in almost cases the embankments were built along these streams to create reservoirs. Means जो ये streams थी, small streams थी, just to channelize this, various type of reservoirs were formed, and those were of various sizes, and all these reservoirs these were used for agriculture. And in this reservoir the rainwater was stored and it was used into the city, and the very most important such tank was built in the early years of the 15th century and is now called Kamalpuram tank. And water from this Kamalpuram tank was used not only for irrigating fields but also conducted through a channel to the royal center. It means the royal center of the city where royal people used to live. So the water was sent through the channels to the royal center also. And even one of the most prominent waterworks to be seen among the ruins इज़ द हिरिया कैनाल. बेटा जो भी हमें वहाँ पे ruins मिले हैं, जो लेफ्ट ओवर है, जो खंडर बचे हुए हैं, सो दे आर ऑल्सो द हिस्टोरियन, दे फाउंड आउट अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट वाटर वर्क्स. And do you know this Hiria canal? It drew water from a dam across the Tungbhadra and irrigated the cultivated valley and separated the sacred center from the urban core. So, and this particular Hiria canal, it was probably built by the kings of Sangama dynasty. And do you know this Sangama dynasty? It was the first ruling dynasty of Vijayanagar, Harihara and Bukka. They related to this Sangama dynasty. Right? Now, what we came to know about this after reading this topic, beta, water resources, it means a very influential and very mechanized system was used there to irrigate the fields and just for the supply of water in the every corner of the kingdom. Now next topic is about, that is the fortification and roads. Now, beta, from where do we come to know about these fortification and roads? Beta, about this Abdul Razak, an ambassador sent by the ruler of Persia to Calicut. He has written about this fortification because he was impressed by these fortifications, and he mentioned 7 lines of forts. It means that forts, whatever fortification were there, beta, that fort, it was surrounded by 7 lines, and even these encircled not only the city but also its agriculture, hinterland and forest. मीन्स जो ये विजयनगर एम्पायर सिटी थी, इसका डिज़ाइन क्या था बेटा, जो इसका रॉयल सेंटर था, around that 7 lines were there. And do you know all the even agriculture area that was also included under the 7 lines, means agriculture area was also protected. And the outermost wall linked the hill surrounding the city. Like we read in previous topic that Vijaynagara Empire area, it was surrounded by the granite hill. So the farthermost boundary, it was just near to those hills. And the massive masonry construction was slightly tapered, and even no cementing agent was employed anywhere in construction, but the stone blocks were wedge shaped, which held them in place, and the inner portion of the walls was of earth packed with rubble. Means, beta, all these walls, these were made up of stones. And even square or rectangular bastions, these were projected outwards. Now, what was the prominent feature? What was the significance about this fortification? Beta, as it enclosed the agriculture area, and Abdul Razak noted that between the first, second and the third walls, there were cultivated fields. अभी हमने क्या पढ़ा बेटा कि that there were 7 lines. There were 7 boundaries. So the area between the first, second and the third walls, those were the cultivated fields, gardens and houses. And these Domingo Pays observed that from this first circuit until you enter the city, there is a great distance. Because अभी हमने क्या देखा, the complete city, it was covered under fortification. So in that distant area, there were fields where rice was sown, and so many gardens were there. And even just for sowing rice and all, water comes from the 2 lakes. So even do you know that all these statements, these are confirmed by the present day archaeologists also. And even this seizes, we were reading about that all this agriculture tract, these also came under the fortification, and these tract was serviced by a canal system drawing water from the Tungabhadra. Means there was a proper system of irrigation. Canals were developed to provide water for irrigation in this agriculture tract. And even if we see, the objective of medieval sieges was to starve the defender into submission. बेटा जब पहले जो भी wars होती थी, it took months, and for so many months, sometime defenders, they are to stand outside the cities. So that is why all the agriculture tract, those were also fortified, so that the enemies, they can be starved. So this way, normally rulers tried to be prepared for such situation by building large granaries within fortified areas. It means large granaries were also built for any adverse situation, and the rulers of Vijaynagara adopted a more expensive and elaborate strategy of protecting the agriculture belt itself. So हम भी इस strategy को feel कर रहे हैं that even all the agriculture land, it was also under the fortifications walls. So the ruler of Vijaynagara, they followed a very strategic policy to protect the agriculture land. And a second line of fortification went around the inner core of the urban complex, and a third line surrounded the royal center, within which each set of major building was surrounded by its own high wall. So आप देख सकते हैं that how much security was there. Means all the, even the layman houses, the agriculture land, canal system, everything was under the fortification. Now the fort that can be entered through well guarded gates which link the city to the major roads and gateways. The gateway of this city, these were of the very distinctive architectural features, and one gateway you can see in this picture also, beta. This picture is given, see this. This is the gateway in the fortification wall, and you can imagine the architecture also by this image. So beta, if we see this gateway, this just introduce the Indo-Islamic feature. Means the architecture that is introduced here, it gives a symbol of Indo-Islamic culture. As we know that earlier there were very good relations between Vijaynagara Empire and different sultanates of that, like Bijapur and Golconda. So even if we read that there were so many interaction with local building practices in different regions, and even archaeologists, they have studied roads within the city and those leading out from it. So even these have been identified by tracing paths through gateways as well as by the finds of pavements. So beta, if we see this, all this Vijayanagara Empire, it was well planned and it was strategically fortified also. Now the next topic is beta about the urban core. So moving along the roads leading into the urban core, there is a relatively little archaeological evidence of the houses of ordinary people. It means whatever area was surrounding the fort, that area was related to the elites, ruling elites. So archaeologists have found fine Chinese porcelain in some areas, and as you know that all these materials that will be imported from different area, and even there also the Muslim residential quarter. There were the quarters of rich traders also. Even few tombs and mosques located. They also have the distinctive functions, and even their architecture resembles that of the mandapas found in the temples of Hampi. Means those tombs, those have the same architecture that was used in the temples of Hampi. And even the other houses, there also different type of architecture was found, and even the survey indicate that the entire area was dotted with numerous shrines and small temples, and pointing to the prevalence of a variety of cults and of different communities. Means when the survey was done of this area, so many shrines, so many pilgrimages and small temples were found. So उससे हमें क्या पता चलता है? It means that people, they were following the different cults, and all these were supported by the different communities. Even in the survey it is also found the wells, rainwater tanks as well as temple tanks. They may have served as sources of water to the ordinary town dwellers. So beta, the topic that we have read today, it means Vijayanagara Empire, it followed a very systematic strategy. Means all these this city, it was built strategically on the point of view of war also, as well as to provide irrigation facility also. Like the road system was also very good, water supply was also very good. So this way Vijayanagara Empire, it was a well fortified city. Hope all of you have understood the topic. Thank you and have a nice day.